Good evening to our viewers watching on television and those joining us online across our social media platforms. I am Adana Dork with the Thursday, April 30th edition of the Ghana TV9 News. In the headlines tonight, Demrara Bank posts 35% profit surge to $4.18 billion fuels lending boom and raises dividend amid strong economic expansion in Guyana. Guyana warns of rising nuclear threats, surges urgent global action at UN review conference. Guyana demands respect for borders as ICJ hearings loom. And prosecution says GECOM site visit clarifies key evidence in the case. Now for the news in depth. At the GECOM headquarters, several key locations were revisited during a court-ordered site inspection, including the area where a bedsheet had been used to display statements of polls, SOPs. The claims that SOP registration numbers were not visible during that display and the alleged confrontation between Yearwood and Smith Joseph. More in this report.
Minister Parag described the arrangement of the room, indicating where she, election observers, and GECOM officials were stationed. She recalled that multiple chairs were already in place when she arrived, including one occupied by defendant Carol Smith Joseph. Based on these descriptions, officials took measurements of the space. She also assisted in identifying the section of the room where SOPs had reportedly been projected onto a spreadsheet. That area was likewise measured as part of the inspection to document the physical layout. During her testimony on site, Rosalinda Rasul pointed out her own position within the room and identified a table where figures were allegedly being called and adjusted, referencing defendants Denise Bob Cummings and Sherfane February. She also noted a spot where former Region 4 returning officer Claremont Mingo was briefly present. Jonathan Yearwood also gave an account during the visit, including where he was seated while observing SOPs being projected onto a spreadsheet screen. He identified the location of the projector and described the area where he said a confrontation occurred between himself and Smith Joseph, including where each of them stood during the incident. The inspection sparked tense exchanges between the legal teams present. Defense attorney Dexter Todd argued that the courtroom was being presented with a reconstructive version of the scene based largely on memory, noting that the physical layout being described had not been previously documented with precise measurements during earlier statements. Todd further contended that after several years had passed, witnesses were now attempting to piece together events retrospectively, which he said undermined accuracy. He criticized the timing of the inspection, suggesting that a proper reconstruction should have been conducted much earlier in the investigative process. Prosecutor Lachmi Rahamat, however, said the visit was necessary to help the court better understand the spatial context of the evidence and witness accounts. She added that the case remained ongoing with additional witnesses yet to testify, and the matter was adjourned to May 18, 2026. Melanie Morris, Guyana TV9 News.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal SC, speaking on his weekly program Issues in the News, highlighted a major issue currently making headlines in Guyana. He referred to a letter sent by His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali to the chairperson of CARICOM, expressing Guyana's deep concern over a batch of brooch worn by Delcy Rodriguez during an engagement with Prime Minister Mia Mottley. More details in this report. Nandlal explained that the brooch in question depicts a map of Venezuela that includes approximately two-thirds of Guyana's territory, the very landmass currently before the International Court of Justice.
The impugned badge or brooch is a map of Venezuela, but it includes two-thirds of territorial Guyana. The exact landmass that is the subject of the case pending at the International Court of Justice. I want to compliment His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali for acting swiftly, maturely, diplomatically, but yet firmly. The letter recognizes First of all, it expresses great concern in respect of that intrusion and abrogation of the sovereignty of Guyana.
He commended President Irfan Ali for what he described as a swift, mature, diplomatic yet firm response. According to Nandlal, the letter expressed serious concern over what it characterized as an intrusion on an abrogation of Guyana's sovereignty, while acknowledging the right of Caribbean states to pursue bilateral relations at the same time. It firmly rejected any symbolism suggesting that any portion of Guyana lies outside its sovereign territory. The Attorney General noted that the correspondence also reminded CARICOM of its long-standing support and solidarity with Guyana on the issue. It referenced ongoing proceedings before the International Court of Justice, including interim measures that prohibit both Guyana and Venezuela from taking action that could affect the matter before the court.
Not for one moment must we ever convey the impression that we are acquiescing or we are, by our silence, interpreted, or by our non-action, misconstrued as not asserting.
He said CARICOM responded by reaffirming the right of member states to engage in bilateral relations while emphasizing that international law, the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and the sovereignty of member states must remain paramount. The regional body also reiterated its strong support for Guyana and the legal process currently underway. Nandal urged vigilance, warning that silence or inaction could be misconstrued as acceptance. He stressed that Guyana must firmly reject any attempt to undermine its territorial integrity. He also noted that hearings at the International Court of Justice are set to begin on May 4th with a Guyanese delegation led by himself and including Carl Greenidge scheduled to attend. Adana Dorek, GAN TV9 News. Demerara Bank Limited reported 6-month profit after tax of $4.18 billion, up to 35.43% year-on-year, driven by strong growth in deposits and loans amid Guyana's expanding economy. Capital and liquidity remain solid, digital upgrades advanced, and increased interim dividend of $1 per share was declared, reflecting confident future expansion outlook. We'll be back after this short break.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A Lamaha Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9,
New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
Welcome back. You're watching Ghana TV9 News Bulletin. At the 2026 Review Conference of the Parties of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, Guyana delivered a pointed call for renewed global commitment to disarmament, warning that decades of progress risk being undone. Speaking at the United Nations, Ambassador Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett underscored growing concerns about escalating conflicts and the resurgence of nuclear rhetoric worldwide. Here's more. Aligning with positions presented by Caribbean, Non-Aligned Movement and Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, member states Ghana reinforced its stance through a national lens. The ambassador stressed that more than 50 years after the treaty's entry into force, progress remains sluggish. Instead, she noted troubling developments including the modernization and expansion of nuclear arsenals, the strengthening of nuclear alliances, and the erosion of arms control agreements. Rodriguez-Burkett warned that the global focus appears to be shifting away from disarmament toward rearmament, undermining the treaty's core objectives. She highlighted the vast financial resources being directed towards weapons of mass destruction, arguing that these funds could be better spent addressing urgent developments challenges worldwide. Ghana called on all states parties to uphold their commitments and ensure balanced implementation of the treaty's three pillars: disarmament, non-proliferation, and peaceful use of nuclear energy.
We are witnessing an increase in global conflicts, in tandem with an increase in nuclear rhetoric, including the advancement of the nuclear deterrence theory by some states, the modernization, expansion, and acquisition of nuclear arsenals, the formation of nuclear alliances, erosion of arms control arrangements, and the increased role of nuclear weapons in military and security doctrines.
The ambassador also emphasized the severe humanitarian, environmental, and economic consequences associated with nuclear weapons. She cautioned that even their existence poses a persistent threat to global peace, particularly when such weapons remain on high alert. Additionally, she raised concerns about the integration of emerging technologies into nuclear systems, stressing the necessity of maintaining human oversight to prevent catastrophic outcomes. Guyana reiterated its firm belief that the only effective solution in the complete, verifiable, and irreversible elimination of nuclear weapons. In this context, the country advocated for strengthening complementary frameworks such as the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty (CTBT) and the TPNW, while urging states that have not yet ratified these agreements to do so without delay.
We believe that the only way to address the risks posed by nuclear weapons is through their complete, verifiable, and irreversible elimination. President, Guyana acknowledges that the CTBT, TPNW, and Nuclear Weapon-Free Zone treaties are complementary to the MPT in advancing the ultimate objective of a world free of nuclear weapons. In this context, we call for the universalization of the NPT and for the entry into force of the CTBT.
Rodriguez-Burkett reaffirmed Ghana's commitment to nuclear-free world, emphasizing that multilateralism, diplomacy, and trust-building must remain central to global efforts. She urged delegates to remain mindful of these devastating consequences of nuclear weapons as the conference continues, calling for renewed determination to uphold the treaty and safeguard international peace and security. Adana Dorek, Ghana TV9 News. The government's push to expand inclusion training and economic opportunities is yielding strong results, particularly among women, while targeted efforts are now intensifying to encourage greater male participation in national development programs.
Minister of Human Services and Social Security, Dr. Findia Prasad, highlighted that since the launch of the Women's Innovation Investment Network WIN in early 2023, thousands of women have stepped forward to access free training, entrepreneurship support, and flexible learning opportunities designed to improve livelihood.
No, I want to say that this has been happening since 2023, the beginning of 2023, because when we started the Women's Innovation Investment Network with the targeted approach of getting more women out there to work and to be entrepreneurs, I knew that there were many programs already existing for men. But what was interesting was that men gravitated to some of the programs we were offering because we do still offer a hybrid model approach. We offer flexibility of study, and of course, it's free. And some of the programs that fall within the WIN program involve the UK City and Guilds skills training program, where you could have become a plumber, a welder, an electrician, a carpenter. You had a lot of things like that. And there was also a heavy lean on ICT.
The minister explained that the program's success has been driven by its hybrid model and practical training offerings, including internationally recognized skills through partnerships such as the City and Guilds program, alongside a strong focus on ICT and technical fields.
So we started the Empower program, the parallel to the WIN program. So we practically offer everything we offer in WIN program to men through the Empower program. We are not seeing the uptake, unfortunately, as high as with the women. If you have, let's say, 1,000 women apply for a course, you might have 100 men. That is something we have been looking at over the years and trying to see how we can bridge that gap. In fact, there's a policy called Bridging the Gap policy that came out last year. And this was taking a direct look at men in everywhere, the empowerment of men.
To address this gap, the government has already moved to strengthen support systems for men through the Bridging the Gap policy, an initiative aimed at promoting positive male engagement, redefining modern masculinity, and ensuring men are equally equipped to take advantage of expanding economic opportunities.
We'll be back after this short break. Stay tuned.
GECOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026, and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. How to apply for registration? You must visit the GECOM registration office that is responsible for your area of residence to apply for registration, name change, or correction. You must have the following source documents as might be relevant: original birth certificate or valid Guyana passport for new registration, original marriage certificate and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by marriage, original deed poll and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by deed poll, original naturalization certificate and original birth certificate or valid passport in the case of naturalization. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact the GECOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gecom.org.gy. GECOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026, and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. It is the civic duty and legal responsibility of all Guyanese who meet the eligibility criteria to apply for registration. By so doing, you will be ensuring that you are issued a national identification card and be included in the official list of electors for future elections, provided you meet all eligibility criteria. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact the GECOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gecom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. Turning to regional news, a file on 7-year-old Angelica Jogi's death after a jet ski accident at Pigeons Point, Tobago, is with the DPP to decide on charges as investigations continue. The operator is free pending inquiry. The tragedy prompted the Tobago Marine Punk spill, now past but widely criticized, sparking protests and calls for rejection. Internationally, Cole Allen, accused in the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting, agreed to remain detained while his case proceeds. He faces attempted assassination and firearm charges after allegedly firing a gunshot at the Washington Hilton, injuring a Secret Service agent's vest. Prosecutors cite planning evidence. He returns to court on May 11th. Those are our major headlines for tonight's newscast. For more trending stories, follow us on our Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube platforms at GYTV9. I'm Adana Dark. Thanks for watching.